welcome to a Life Doctor Mental Fitness podcast, helping you train your brain for a stronger and more focused positive mental attitude. This is a mental training podcast, training your brain to raise your confidence and self-esteem. I'm going to share tools and coaching strategies you can experiment with to change your mind so you can change your lives. One thing that can hold you back in life is an unhelpful mindset. And what's absolutely brilliant about your brain is that you are only a brain pattern or two away from changing it to something much more empowering. So no matter who you are, I believe and know you can change. Let's get started. First of all, let's get you centered. You cannot have control over your mind and thoughts and brain patterns if your mind is on high alert. So let's get you centered, which means breathing to the gut, breathing to your belly. And I want you to take 3 nice big deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose down to the stomach. Very slowly and very deeply. This is a wonderful command to tell your mind, I am taking control. After that, continue breathing down to the stomach slowly and deeply. I want you to do this for around about 30 seconds. Let your limbic system, which is your survival part of the brain, relax. Let your nervous system repair, and you can take control. And as a reminder, you should be breathing like this all throughout the day. If you are shallow breathing to the chest, you risk losing control of your thoughts and reactions. And now I'd like you to think about the following. I'd like you to think about anything negative you have been told or fear is true about yourself. Anything negative you keep telling yourself. For example, a common fear is not being good enough. If you're not sure and need to think, then give this podcast a pause whilst you think it out. When you're ready, come back. The thoughts and feelings of not being good enough can lead to a fear of being rejected, as we really don't want to take the risk of having our belief of not being good enough confirmed as true. Now, I want you to listen in your head to how you say this negative stuff. Is it your voice or is it someone else's? Some of you might get a feeling in the side of the head it's coming from. For example, I really know when I'm talking to myself negatively because it comes from my left. I even get images appear on that side of the brain too. It does this to drive home further the point that negative stuff, which focuses on the left side of my head, creates the chemistry, which gives me a negative reaction so that I try and keep myself safe. In other words, if I don't believe I'm good enough, then I won't take the risk to be rejected. I wonder if you can get a sense of where your negative thoughts and feelings in your brain appear. It doesn't matter if you don't, because what you do next really does matter. Now, still using the same example, regardless of what your version is of I am not good enough, we are going to say the absolute opposite. Now, no matter how alien, untrue, and uncomfortable this may sound, whatever it is that you're going to say, make sure it is totally the opposite. So you're going to do this inside your mind. So I am saying loudly inside my head, I am good enough. I am good enough. And I'm going to add some more conviction. I am good enough. And I want you to do this inside your mind for the next 10 to 15 seconds. Words and thoughts are extremely powerful. And we know that because negative thoughts and words have a real impact on your brain chemistry and can hold you back from having the life you want just by simply creating uncomfortable feelings. By doing the opposite, by saying the opposite, you're changing the brain patterns and you're creating positive chemistry. Psychologists have shown over and over how powerful the act as if technique really is. No matter how much at first you doubt this even works, think about what you could possibly gain if it does. Now, this technique was one of those series of techniques which changed my life, and I'd love you to give it a chance to change yours. So let's take this training a little deeper. Now I want you to do your best to think as clearly and as strongly as you can on what I ask you to think about next. Allow the thoughts to rise to the surface, but don't worry if they don't come now. Be open to them coming later. So I'd like you to think about, when have you been at your most strongest and most determined? No matter what was going on, there was no stopping you getting what you wanted. Now those thoughts, those memories can stir up an energy you can use to keep yourself training your brain with your new mantra. So remind yourself, when have you been at your most strongest, most determined, where you stood up for yourself, where you wouldn't let anything get in your way? Use that energy. You have it. This is not something that I or anyone else has to give you. It's there already. You've got this far. How are you going to use your strength and determination to train your brain? And now coming back to the fun part of you, I want to focus your mind on when you've been at your most playful, your most fun. Let those memories rise to the surface. It's really easy to be compliant and boring and routine these days, to be responsible. But when have you been at your most playful, most fun? And if you were to take that energy and that fun into training your brain, to making this work for you, what will you do? See yourself doing it. Make a commitment. Have more fun training your brain. And then lastly, I want you to focus on thoughts which make you feel alive. So when in your life have you been alive? What stirs the passion inside of you when you experience it? From music to film to culture, is it politics? Is it certain situations which suddenly you feel yourself coming alive no matter how tired you are? It's time to stir it back up, to retraining your brain. How will you make your mantra come true? For you to realize it's true. It's nothing what we have to give you. No one can make you believe the mantra. You have to realize it's true for yourself. And you will. But let's stir up that passion, that fire that's in you. So the more colourful, the stronger you make these thoughts, the more deeper they cement into the brain and become your natural habit. So being at your most strongest and most determined, your most fun and your most passionate in regards to your mantra will make it so much easier for you. And I want you to choose a positive action today which shows you your mantra is true. Now mine was I simply wasn't good enough. So I would choose something which is a reminder that I am. So for example, instead of just drifting off onto autopilot and heading towards the couch for another box set binge, I might choose to do something that makes me feel alive. I live on the seafront, and it's beautiful out there right now. I could just go out for a walk, which I am actually going to do after this podcast. But what can you do that lets you know you're worth it, that makes you feel alive, that gets those endorphins in your brain fired up? Whether it's reaching out to someone, connecting, treating yourself to something you deserve, taking a risk with a career change, starting that process. It's time to wake up and train your brain to be the way you want it to be. Life really is too short and precious not to. Just imagine if you relaxed more often into being your true self and not who someone else told you you should be. Now I know how awkward some of these phrases are going to sound. I remember when I was saying I am good enough, it just sounded like a downright lie. But the more I began doing it, the more my brain began to respond. And funnily enough, I began to realize that actually they weren't lies. I was actually good enough. I had just been programmed and brainwashed into thinking otherwise. And by rebelling and no longer being compliant to what people told me, I began to wake up. And that momentum just kept going, and hence this is why I do what I do now, to help others escape that mind trap. And the more you repeat your mantra, the deeper it will go. So you need reminding of your mantra wherever you are. So put it on your phone, put it on your desk, put it on your computer, put it on a mirror, put it anywhere where you can see it so that you keep on saying it. The more you add positive actions, the more your confidence in these areas will grow. And if you want to enjoy being someone with a stronger, positive mental attitude and who looks for creative solutions rather than get stuck in a dead end with a problem, then the more you practice these strategies, the more you feed and inspire yourself, the easier it is for that to become your natural go-to behavior. Thank you for listening. Your comments and feedback will be most welcome. I really want to involve and grow this project and help as many people as I can change their minds so they can change their lives. Please share and subscribe, and again, thank you.